You just lost control not only over your home's value, but your kid's school and the amount of traffic in your neighborhood. And you probably don't even know it yet.
Nobody is talking about the 2 Texas laws recently passed that took away your say-so and what's being built in your city. What's worse is the potential impact that will have on how you live and the financial burden that will be put on you personally.
These laws are already in effect right now in some of the biggest cities in the DFW area. And we're going to break it down, what changed, which cities are affected, and what it could cost you in the bigger issue that no one is talking about, whether you already own a home here or you're planning on moving anywhere in DFW.
Let's start with what actually happened. For a long time, your city council decided what could be built in your community. As a resident, you voted in council members, you showed up to meetings, you had a real say in what your neighborhood and your city looked like. The state of Texas just took a large part of that away from the biggest cities, and most homeowners have no idea it happened.
And here's what makes this different from a normal zoning change. This didn't come from your city, or your local representatives didn't vote on this. It came from the state, and your city had no choice but to comply.
So what actually did they pass? 2 bills were signed into law and took effect September 1st of last year, and they were passed under the guise or the banner of housing affordability. Here's the thing, everyone wants housing to be more affordable. That's not a controversial idea, but under that banner, these 2 bills passed without most homeowners ever stopping to look at what was actually being proposed or what it would mean to them.
The first one is called Senate Bill 840. It says that in certain Texas cities, a developer can take any commercial building, an office building, a warehouse, a retail center, and convert it into an apartment complex without asking the city for permission. No rezoning request, no public hearing, and no city council vote. The city finds out when the permits get filed. That's it.
And here's the part that should stop every homeowner in their tracks. These residential developments must be approved if they meet the city's adopted development regulations. There is no ability for the city to prevent the development from occurring as long as it meets state law. The developer files the paperwork and the project moves forward. Your city has no say.
The second is Senate Bill 15. Before this law, most large cities in Texas required new homes to be built on lots at least 5,000 to 7,500 square feet. That's your typical suburban yard space between you and your neighborhoods and room for your kids to play. This law drops that minimum down to 3,000 square feet. To picture 3,000 square feet, that's roughly your front yard, driveway, and not much else. New neighborhoods in covered cities now can be packed much more tightly than what most people expect when they think of a DFW suburb.
And if you're sitting there thinking, okay, some apartments are going up somewhere and some smaller lots on new homes, what is the big deal? And how does that actually affect my house? Well, stay with us because we're going to get into exactly how this hits your wallet and your daily life and your community, and it's more than most people expect.
Now let's talk about which cities are actually affected. Both bills only apply to Texas cities with a population over 150,000 and more than 300,000 in the county. In DFW, that means cities like Frisco, McKinney, Fort Worth, Denton, Plano, and several others are already under these rules right now.
Their city councils lost the ability to say no to this type of development. A developer can look at any commercial corridor in those cities and move forward without a single public hearing. That is the reality on the ground today in some of the most popular suburbs in America.
Smallest suburbs aren't covered by these laws today, but don't dismiss this yet if you live in one, because you should still be paying attention. We'll talk more about that in just a minute.
Let's talk right now about why this matters to you personally, because the impact may not be felt immediately, but it will be showing up in your daily life in very specific ways. We'll get started with traffic.
When a large apartment complex goes in near your neighborhood, you're adding hundreds of cars to the roads that weren't even planned for. More cars means more congestion and slower commute times. And here's what makes SB 840 especially concerning on this point. The law says cities cannot require developers to study traffic impact before they build. The developer files the paperwork, the cars show up, and your city has no say in any of it.
What that leaves cities with is the challenge of figuring it out after the fact. And what we're already seeing is cities starting to roll out new local rules specifically designed to navigate the impact of these bills. It takes time, it takes money, and in the meantime, the residents who already live there are the ones absorbing it all.
And it's not just roads. More people in an area means more demand on everything that the community shares. Water lines, sewer systems, fire stations, police response, and emergency services. All of that was planned and built for a certain number of people. When a large number of new residents come in quickly, those systems get stretched thin, and the city has a very limited ability under the law to require developers to help fund what's needed to keep it up. The burden now will be on you as a resident of the city to cover the extra cost of the additional infrastructure needed to accommodate the influx of non-tax paying residents.
And then there are schools. And this is the one we hear about most from homebuyers in the Dallas suburbs. A school building has a set number of seats, and when more kids show up than there are seats, classrooms get packed. Building a new school takes years and costs millions of dollars, and voters have to approve the funding first. So by the time the district can catch up, kids are already sitting in overcrowded classrooms.
And school quality is one of the biggest drivers of home values in DFW. Families with children choose their suburb and their home typically because of the school district. When a district gets strained and performance starts to slip, the homes in that area feel it. Which brings us to your home's value directly.
When you bought your home, part of what you paid for was what surrounded it. The feel of the area, what was allowed to be built nearby, the stability of the neighborhood you chose. When those rules change and your city has less power to say no to what goes up near you, that changes what future buyers see when they look at your street. That changes the value of your home, which also affects your equity.
Now, let's talk about SB 15 and what smaller lots actually look like on the ground. Picture a new neighborhood where the homes are noticeably closer together. Smaller yards, less space between you and your neighbor, less privacy.
And when that kind of new development goes in right next to an existing neighborhood, more houses go on the same roads, more kids go into the same schools, more demand hits the same water and utility lines, and it can potentially lower your home's value as well, depending on your home type.
Now let's get to the part we mentioned earlier, the part that matters whether you live in a covered city or not, because this is bigger than traffic in schools and home values. What's really at stake here is whether everyday homeowners get to have a say in how their town and their communities are built and developed. For a long time in Texas, that answer was yes. You elected people to represent your city. You showed up, you had a voice.
And honestly, nobody pushed back on these laws because they thought they were a solution to housing affordability. Everyone wants that, so they passed. And most homeowners across Texas woke up one day with a completely different set of rules in place.
What concerns us the most is the bigger issue that no one is talking about, that this may be just the beginning. The state has now shown its willingness to step in and make decisions from the top down. What gets built near your home, how your streets develop, and what your community looks like 10 years from now. Those decisions are moving further away from the people who actually live there. And that's something every Texas homeowner in every city should be thinking about right now.
So let's talk about what you can actually do about this. Obviously, there's no magic fix here, but there are smart moves you can make depending on where you are.
If you're looking to buy somewhere in DFW right now, look up the population of the city that you're considering. Over 150,000 with a county over 300,000 means these laws apply today. Then look at what's around the certain neighborhood you're considering. In covered cities, any commercial or office property nearby is now potentially eligible for an apartment development without the city's approval. This is information you need before you sign anything.
If you already own a home in one of the covered cities, know what's around you. Your city still has some authority over design standards and building codes. Show up when development near your neighborhood gets proposed. Your voice still matters, even if it carries less weight than it used to.
And if you own a home in the smaller suburb, keep watching and how this is playing out in a larger Dallas suburb and watch your city's growth. Follow what the Texas legislature does in future sessions. The cities that feel the most protected right now are the ones that need to be paying the closest attention, because the precedent has now been set, and by the time it applies to your city, it's already been too late to plan around it.
This is a topic that affects every homeowner and potential homeowner in the DFW area, and we want to hear what you think. Do you think these laws are okay in the name of housing affordability?
Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us if you live in one of the covered cities or you are in one of the smaller suburbs watching this play out, or are you trying to decide where to buy? We want to know where you stand on this.